When I come to your city, I'm a new score. Broke your high score as soon as I step through the door. Tryna stack my paper up like a bookstore. Money kissing each other like a rock and roll tour. When I come to your city, I'm a new score. Broke your high score as soon as I step through the door. Tryna stack my paper up like a bookstore. Money kissing each other like a rock and roll tour.
Hey, Tyler.
Hey, Piet.
What's going on? Welcome to the New Score podcast. My name is Pat. This is my co-host, TYG, Tyler Pratt. Tyler, how we be doing?
Oh, we be doing? We be doing today we actually got a really nice day out here in Syracuse, so
It's good.
can't complain. It's still cold as fuck, but can't complain. I just ate a bowl of chili. So if I let one, squeak, then my bad.
Your stomach's gonna be rumbling here pretty soon.
Yeah. You're probably gonna pick it up. It's gonna be like,
Yeah.
But anyways, we're good.
Thank y'all for listening. If you are on YouTube right now, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify. Get at us on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you very much for the support. Tyler, today we got our Week 14 NFL recap. Can't believe it. Can't believe we're already going into Week 15. Crazy to think about. We're also going to talk some MLB. Shohei Ohtani is a Dodger. Juan Soto is a New York Yankee. We'll get into that pretty soon.
Crazy.
We have some apologies that we want to dish out for previous takes that we had. We're gonna get in front of that, Tower. Takes a man to admit when he was wrong. And today we're gonna do that.
Accountability.
Speaking
Beautiful.
of wrong, we got Heel of the Week coming up very shortly.
Mm-hmm.
Heel of the Week. And then after that, we are going to get into our full NFL recap of Week 14. Go through these games. So, Tyler, let's talk about that. Juan Soto to the Yankees, Shohei Ohtani to the Dodgers. The rich just keep getting richer, it seems, in baseball. Not only that, but Ohtani's cap hit is only going to be $2 million. $2 million for 10 years, and they're backloading the rest of it. I think it's like $680 million. It's a $700 million contract, folks, if you're not tracking that. And he's getting paid like the $680 million in the last season. And he actually came up with that. So, I mean, props to him for being that type of dude. And he just wants to win. I respect that because he could be getting paid so much money, but he's more concerned with winning. Just sucks that it has to be the Dodgers because I don't know. Now that they're only paying him $2 million, getting Ohtani with what they already have, now they can go out and spend, so much more money now because of that. Juan Soto to the Yankees, something I feel like that it's just been building up over the years. It was going to happen eventually. We're just waiting for it. And this was an opportunity after his time in San Diego. It's just been a fluke. Once again, the rich get richer. He's going to be a Yankee. But what are your thoughts on all that?
If I could have a heel of the week and just have it be the MLB structure around contracts and essentially no cap, it would be them. Yeah. They're getting Ohtani for free. $2 million in the MLB is literally like $200 to us, maybe even less. Like that $2 million is literally free. They like, you have minor league players making $2 million. So, oh, look at that. I can right down at the bottom. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Crazy. Either way, that's huge for the Dodgers. Ohtani, I mean, we obviously, as Cardinals fans, we just don't want anybody going to the Cubs. And then second, we kind of mutually have not a hate for the Dodgers, but just like we don't want them to get anybody good either because they always do. And then the Yankees are like third, Red Sox fourth or fifth. But this sucks. This sucks for the National League because the Dodgers are going to be stacked once again. And now that they have Ohtani, who's the pitcher? Mamamoto? Or Mamma Mia? They're about to go after that guy. So now that they have Ohtani, they got a better shot at doing it. So, yeah, I mean, just a crazy trade. Yankees getting Soto's cool. But like you said, we knew that was coming. But I'm waiting for the Cardinals to make a fucking move now. We need somebody. We need somebody in the lineup. We traded Tyler O'Neill for fucking peanuts. So I digress. Different story for another day.
We're just gonna sign another 35-year-old pitcher, and all be world.
We signed 3 of them.
But let's get into these apologies that I was referring to earlier, Tyler.
Go ahead.
Got some things I'd like to get off my chest. A little venting session here. First of all, I want to apologize to LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and the Los Angeles Lakers, Tyler.
Oh.
Because they completely bullied the Pacers Saturday. Like, Pacers were hanging with them all game, but the Lakers it was never a doubt that they were going to win that game, and they weren't even shooting. I think they ended up with like 1 or maybe 2 3-pointers that whole game. So everything was just in the paint, dominating. I mean, Anthony Davis finished off with 41 points, 20 boards, and on the defensive end was incredible. He was just a monster. And then LeBron pours in what he pours in. Another great game for him, and it's insane, dude. He's going to be 30. Anybody that knows me, any of my boys or anything, knows that I am not a LeBron James fan, not a LeBron James guy at all.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't help but respect what you're seeing out there right now. And for him to be he's going to be 39 years old, and he's averaging 25, 7, and 6 right now. Field goal percentage is 55. And he's still playing, 30, 35 minutes a game. To be doing that at that age and
Crazy.
Be that productive. And like they need him too. That's the thing. Like the Lakers can't go without him.
1,000%.
They need him. So shout out to LeBron, Anthony Davis, and the Lakers. I have my opinions on the both of them, but there's no question about it. If we were just talking ball, if we're just talking one game out on the court, those two that like motivated to win, that's scary. That's scary for the league. Seeing them to still be able to look that good. And again, like for them not even to shoot the ball that whole game, it was just all in the paint, just total domination. But anything you want to take away from that?
Yeah, actually, the first thing that came to mind when you said LeBron and Anthony Davis was this dream I had last night. I was playing basketball with them in like this fucking really rundown, dark gym. And all I could see was the hoop right next to me and maybe half court. And I don't know why, but I kicked the basketball for a turnover, of course. And they both looked at me, LeBron and AD. And I was like, my bad. Right? And in my head, I'm like, I'm costing these guys their in-season tournament money.
Oh, man.
So I just fucking kicked the basketball out into the abyss. Looked at him and I said, my bad, guys. And then I got woken up.
Dreams were that cool?
No, and then I'm going to explain why I got woken up here soon. But to touch on what LeBron's doing, obviously it's just incredible. There's no other way to put it. Anthony Davis, on the other hand, I was going to put in a bet for this the other night, and I saw Anthony Davis, and for rebounds, it was over under 13.5. I was like, I know he's gotten like over that the last 4 or 5 games. There's going to be a high volume of shots. I didn't do it. Stupid. Why didn't I do it? And dude's averaging 15 boards a game over the last 5 games. And then the Pacers are they're fucking they're trigger happy. They're just shooting the ball. I'm like, it's going to be tough D. Not a lot. The field goal percentage is going to be down. It's just a stupid pass. So that's all I remember from that. But yeah, the Lakers were playing bully ball. Like, name the last time a team won and dominated. I don't want to say dominated, but pretty much dominated the whole game and only like made 2 threes. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. But let's move on to my next apology, and that is we made some jokes about Tommy / Danny DeVito in the past. And I know you and I talked about it. It was like, dude, this hype is just OD right now. This Tommy DeVito hype. We're like, what is going on? But hey, I gotta give it up to him. Pulls off a win last night against Green Bay, home Monday night. And that team really likes to play with Tommy DeVito. And I could tell Dable likes him, and obviously the fans love him. There's just a certain energy that this dude brings, and he's taking care of the football now. I think since the second half of that Dallas game, because it was a bad first half, I think from the second half of that game on to this point for Tommy DeVito, we've seen a different guy. And he's taking care of the football, and he's getting it done in the run game. He's got hit 70 yards rushing last night. He's an athlete. He's pretty elusive back there in the pocket, and he can scramble around. And he's giving the team energy. He's giving the team life. So shout out to Tommy DeVito. Apology number 2. Next, I want to apologize to the Chicago Bears for the Montez Sweat trade. Roasted them after for giving up a second-round pick. Thought that was too much. They ended up having to sign him after, but they got the deal done right away. So, I mean, Tyler, I want to share this with you. Since the Montez Sweat trade, the Chicago Bears defense is 9th in points per game allowed, 5th in total yards allowed, 5th in total passing yards allowed, and 2nd in takeaways. Sheesh. Weeks 1 through 8, before the Sweat trade, they had 10 sacks. After the Sweat trade, in 5 weeks, they've had 11 sacks. So Todd reached out to us about this because it's, like he said, it's just been a ripple effect throughout that whole defense. The whole defense is playing better. We're going to get into that game in a little bit. Some other guys on that defense that have stepped up, but you got to give it up to Ryan Poles for that move, and they're going to have some interesting decisions to make going forward. But we have plenty of time to talk about that. Anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, you don't see that. You like very often at all. You don't see a player get traded to a team and then that changes either the culture or has that ripple effect to just completely turn that unit around, whether it's offense or defense. Like, you don't typically see that. So that's it's paying off really well for the Bears now, and obviously they signed him to that extension, so it's gonna hopefully continue to pay off for them over time. And that second round pick people are just gonna forget about, because Sweat's the guy. He's their man right now, and he's playing really well. So great trade for Chicago after the fact.
Chicago. Next apology I want to get off my chest is, Tyler, last episode we had stay or fold, and I said I was going to fold on Flacco as the starting quarterback for the Browns, and I think that was a mistake based off what I saw him do last game just now against the Jags. They look like a better offense with him in there. Like, there's more opportunities downfield now with Joe Flacco in there. He's still got the arm. He's not as mobile, obviously, but they got a really good offensive line, and Stefanski's a great offensive mind in this league. He's going to set Flacco up for success. So I like what the Browns can do with Flacco. I also said they weren't going to make the playoffs. I think they might make the playoffs. The way that defense looks at times, and now you throw in, dude, Flacco, their offense looks better with him than they did with Deshaun. Like, they got to clean up these turnovers, obviously.
Right.
But besides that, overall, I think their offense looks more explosive now than what it did with Deshaun for when he was in there. We just
100%.
had so many of these games where the offense just wasn't doing anything. But that's my next one. I want to cap it off with, I'll let you touch on that if you want to. I just want to cap it off with my last apology is to Mike McCarthy, head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Ooh.
I thought it was the product of a really good roster, a really good team. But you could tell, like, McCarthy has done something with that team. It's just a different feeling in Dallas than it usually is.
Mm-hmm.
So many times in my life, I've gone through this where people are overhyping the Cowboys and you hear about it and it's like, oh, Super Bowl or bust for the Cowboys, Like, I've heard it so much in my life that I've kind of just became numb to it. Didn't think anything of it. But I was thinking after that Eagles game, I was just in my head was thinking, like, it just feels different right now. It feels like a different Dallas Cowboys football team right now. So credit to Mike McCarthy. They're playing. I mean, the only team that's playing better football than them right now is the Niners. And so I really want to see those two teams play again. But what McCarthy has done for Dallas, in specifically Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Like, Dak looks like a way better quarterback with McCarthy in control than when he did with Kellen Moore. So that's something to think about because we thought it was going to be a downgrade earlier in the season. If you would have asked me, and this is part of the apology, earlier in the season, if you would have asked me, I would have said, oh, their offense can be worse without Kellen Moore and now McCarthy in control of it. Yeah. But I was dead wrong because this offense is explosive. They're clicking, and this is the best I've ever seen from Dak Prescott. But go ahead.
Yeah, my apology goes out to Kellen Moore. I'm sorry you can't be along for the ride, brother. You're stuck in LA with fucking Staley. And now you got, who was it? Easton Stick? I mean, were the parents just like, what was the old, was it Fan Bay? What was that? Remember the magazines? East Bay. Yeah, I mean, maybe they were just like big baseball fans and they were huge Easton Stealth, Easton this, Easton Stick, huh? Either way.
Get basketball stickers from there every year.
Oh, yeah, cleats, travel cleats for ball, yeah, always. But, yeah, Flacco doing great. I think that's just going to continue to get better. The dude came off the couch 4 weeks ago. And, yeah, McCarthy, he's got this offense really rolling. I just think there's a lot of good veteran leadership. And, yeah, you're kind of starting to see the whole offense gel together, the defense gel. So they got a good thing going right now. But, yeah, hats off to McCarthy. He's done a really good job first year taking over the play calling. And, you know, they got Brian Schott as their OC. So, you know, kind of a vacant position there. Just kidding, Brian. I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
He stinks.
I'm joking. He's kind of just not there. But yeah, that's it. My only apology goes out to Kellen Moore. Sorry, brother. But you get to enjoy the weather at least.
Right. It's a lot colder in Dallas.
Yeah.
Tyler, let's move on to our heel of the week segment.
Yeah. So my as we touched earlier, I kind of had a couple things I wanted to talk about. One being the contract for the Ohtani, because it's just the way that works out, where you can backload $680 million out of 700. So, I mean, regardless of the total amount, we got to look at the percentage of it. So we're well over 90% of that contract being backloaded 10 years down the road, so the Dodgers can just load up now, front load contracts, save them in that 3 to 5 year range to do it again until Ohtani's money comes around. And then at that point, who knows? They're probably going to have some clause in the contract where it's all like fully guaranteed and they can just buy him out right there and then, That's one. The other one, circling back to my dream, I have a plaque up on my wall. And as that dream was going, all of a sudden, I'm sleeping. The next thing I know, and I'm like, fuck. Plaque laying on my face, and then I just lay my head back down. And I'm like, I gotta get this fucking thing off my face. So then I take it off, and I'm just looking up. So my heel of the week, let me show you the plaque, actually. So my heel of the week goes out to what is it? Not Jelly Sub, maybe, or fucking the sticks on the wall. Either way, look at this plaque. Look at that Dirk. Oh,
how'd it feel?
Mint. It felt like Dirk was. No, never mind. I can't. That's not going anywhere good. So, I apologize for this chair. Another heel of the week. Whoever manufactured this chair, dude, it's fucking squeaky as fuck. I have to mute myself all episode just because I can't hear this thing going. You know what I mean?
All right, my heel of the week, Tyler, goes out to the quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes.
Poor guy.
Let's talk about it.
Let's go. I would have done the same thing he did.
Would you?
I would have went right after the refs. Fuck yeah. I would have been like, you're gonna call that shit right now? You motherfucker. I'm out here busting my ass. We're working our ass off. You're gonna make that call at this point in the game? That's bullshit. Blah blah blah. But yeah, no, he
was offsides.
He was offsides.
He was clearly offsides.
Clearly.
Have to make that call. Rules are the rules. How many times in Mahomes' career have we seen him get bailed out by calls? Like the refs. There's multiple occasions of the Chiefs over these past few years getting the benefit of the doubt when it comes to officiating. I remember a Jets game earlier this year where the Jets very well could have won. I remember at the time I wasn't banned on Twitter, so I remember tweeting about it. And I was like, bro, is anybody else watching this? I remember there was like a clear hold when Mahomes was just hanging out in the pocket for like an eternity. Clear hold. And they never called a flag. So it is what it is. He was offsides. And for Mahomes to react like that on national TV, when you have all of these little kids across the world that look up to you, for you to act like that is a joke, in my opinion. It's a fucking joke. To be mad at the call, whether you're mad at it or not, you don't carry that onto the field with you when you're going to shake hands with the other, in this case, the other quarterback, Josh Allen. I went back that 13-second game when the Bills lost in the playoffs. Mind you, this was a regular season game that Mahomes lost, reacting like this. Regular season game. Let's go back to when Josh Allen lost and they were done for the season. That 13 seconds left, and then he doesn't even get a chance in overtime. Gives Mahomes a hug after that, because that's what you do, man. That's called sportsmanship. That's called respect. That's called appreciation for your opponent. Like at the end of the day, you're out there playing a game, and for you to carry that whole demeanor, that whole cry baby shit, that spoiled little brat attitude onto the field when you're going to shake hands, and then to not even be like, good game, bro, see you again. Just couldn't drop it for 2 seconds. You have to bring that up to Josh in that moment and say it's fucking bullshit, whatever it is. Just no class whatsoever. Didn't see Mahomes as the type of dude to react like this, whether he's frustrated or not from his receivers are a big problem and a big part of that reason. It's not the ref's fault. It's not your opponent's fault. So be a man, show some class, show some dignity and some respect. Show some respect for all those people in America that look up to you as an athlete. It's pathetic to me to react like that. And then Andy Reid on top of that, he's still going at it with the call. It's like, bro, you just won the Super Bowl last year on a play that was like the definition of you can't make that call in that moment. You can't make that call in that moment. That Bradbury hold last year in the Super Bowl was the epitome of that quote. You can't make that call in that moment. That benefited you. You won a Super Bowl. Eagles didn't even get an opportunity after that because of it. So save it. Give me a break. It's pathetic. Heel of the week, Patrick Mahomes.
Patty. Brittany's rubbing off on him.
For real. Let's get into these NFL Week 14 games, Tyler.
We're ripping.
Let's rip them away. Tampa Bay Bucks, Atlanta Falcons. Tampa Bay comes back, wins 29-25. The Bucks were up 19-10 at one point, second half, and then Atlanta stormed back. Drake London just started going off. And then in the end of the game, Baker marches him down the field. Baker's a dog. There was a game-winning touchdown pass to Cade Otton for the win.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa Bay won that game, and Mike Evans got locked up. He had no catches in the first half. He ended up with one catch for 8 yards, Tyler. One catch for 8 yards for Mike Evans. And the Bucks still put on 29 points and got a dub. Shout out AJ Terrell. But in the end, Tampa Bay gets it done. They go down and make this NFC South division
even
just
better.
Electric. It's absolutely electric. The NFC South is a quite dandy division right now, to be honest with you. We got 3 teams at 6 and 7 with the Saints winning too. So
yeah,
it's gonna be a fun run down the stretch, and maybe we'll get a home playoff game right down the street from me here. So three questions to piggyback off of this game, right?
One, is it safe to say that this is Baker's best year?
I think for what he's doing in the situation, I think, yeah.
2, what team do you trust the least out of those 3 to make a run?
Trust the least?
Trust the
least. I'd have to say Atlanta because of Desmond Ridder.
That's fair. All right, and then which of those 3 teams do you see possibly trading up in the draft to get a quarterback?
Well, I think the Bucks could trade up because the Bucks have some pieces. But then again, the Saints could also trade up because they have pieces and they're way over the cap. Like they're going to have hell to pay here pretty soon. So it's gonna be time for New Orleans to start unloading players. So whether they get they'd get a first for Lattimore. So maybe he's the guy. We're gonna see a team like the Bucks or the Saints trade up. Very well could be both with the amount of quarterbacks they're gonna go. As far as the Falcons, I still think Justin Fields that's a good landing spot for him.
And I thought you said something about that too, and I'm pretty sure I heard some commentator say something along those lines, whether it was the Falcons game or it was the Bears game. They were talking about Fields possibly being the guy that Atlanta goes after in the offseason. The draft, speaking of, aside from the top 3, which we know is going to be Chicago, New England, and Arizona, we have 4 through 12 is just completely wide open. There are so many teams. There's 3 or 4 teams with 4 wins, about the same amount with 5, or they're all at 6 now. It's going to be a crazy run too to see who ends up with the draft positions. But either way, what do we got next?
Before I get too deep in this, I just want to recap our bets. We got our asses kicked the 1:00 slate on Sunday.
Yep.
So I won the Bears, the Bucks, and that was it. I was on the wrong side of every other game. And then Tyler won the Bears, the Bucks, and the Browns. He took the Browns, so he got one more than I did. But it was a rough 1:00 slate. I did go perfect, though, for the 4:00 slate. But anyways, this is one of the games I got brutally wrong, and that is the Indianapolis Colts, Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals win 34-14, completely dominated this game, dude. If it wasn't for a pick six that the Colts had, this would have gotten so much uglier than it was. I wrote down Jake Browning looks like a real NFL quarterback. And I keep seeing all of this shit from like, oh, it's just the system. Is maybe Burrow not that good because we're seeing it with Jake Browning? I'm just like,
oh my God. Can't be happy for the guy at the moment.
I'm sick of it. Like some of these takes that people have. Right. Go back and look. If you think it's a system thing, go back and look at Zach Taylor's record before they drafted Joe Burrow. Go back and look at it.
I mean, there's like two sides. I feel like everyone always does this, right? Like, Dobbs comes into Minnesota and like has that incredible game where he just stepped in after the starter got hurt, and knowing maybe 6 total plays in the playbook, the dude takes the team, leads them to a win. I think he won the next week, and everyone's like riding the Dobbs train, not really saying anything about Kirk Cousins, but they're happy for Dobbs. But then you get a guy like Jake Browning come in, just doing his job. The dude didn't ask for Joe Burrow to get hurt. He just steps in, does what he needs to do, takes care of business, and people are hating on him and just calling him a system quarterback. Like, people can't be happy for Jake Browning in this moment, and I don't know why. Just how about we appreciate the fact that we get a backup quarterback that can actually win a game.
We can watch.
Right. We can watch them. Like, it's not just an absolute shit show of a game like it is with I don't know, New England, which doesn't matter what quarterback they have. So how about we just appreciate the fact they gotta win? Like, come on. Stop hating on these guys. Just show Jake Browning some love. The dude's playing great right now, and I hope he continues to do it. Billy.
I got my Bill shirt on now that you speak of it. But Jake Browning, 18 for 24, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, did have 1 pick, got sacked 0 times. Passer rating ended up to be 122. Another thing I wrote down, Tyler, spreading the ball around. He threw the ball to 9. I say again, he threw the ball to 9 different receivers on Sunday. So spreading the wealth. It's not just Jamar Chase. Last week it was all Jamar Chase dominating. This week he let everybody eat out there. Colts, it was just one of those games. I don't know. They got to get back up off the mat though. If they want a chance to get in these playoffs.
Yeah, they're making me look bad. I took them over Cincinnati and Buffalo to get in. They're making me look bad.
Yeah.
Fucking Colts.
My Bills playoff bet looking rather juiced right now. I took the Bills to make the playoffs last Wednesday at plus 400, and now I believe it's down to plus 100. But Chase Brown, another thing I wrote down, Tyler, backup running back for the Cincinnati Bengals, looks like a weapon out there.
Yeah.
They got the ball out to him in space on a little swing pass early in that game, and he took it to the house. Just looks very explosive. And a nice little compliment to Joe Mixon. So, let's get on to the game of the week ended up being, and that is the Los Angeles Rams and Baltimore Ravens. Ravens win it in overtime, 37-31. What a game this was on the 1:00 slate. And Rams started off that game with 9 straight runs, just ran it down Baltimore's throat, got into the red zone, and then they threw 3 straight incompletions all out of bounds. That was something that I did not like in the first drive because they were just got down there and they were pounding the rock, and then they throw 3 incompletions after that. And it's like McVay, sometimes he'll do that. It just makes me mad because when you get the run game going, why not stick with it? For him to go 9 straight times, though, that was pretty cool to see. All game, it was just back and forth between these two teams. Rams had 2 really bad blown coverages in that game. One likely got wide open, and then another, Odell put a move on Jordan Fuller. Jordan Fuller got cooked, and Odell was wide open for a touchdown. Stafford answered, though. Stafford answered all day, kept the Rams in this game. He had a beautiful touchdown throw to Cooper Kupp on 3rd down when they were, I think it was 3rd and goal from the 10. It was, and he was falling away, and just like he threw it like this, and it was just perfect. Kupp threw it right on Kupp's break. Kupp didn't even see it until he hit his break, and then the ball's there. Just a perfect dime by Stafford. This ended up being a battle of 2 supreme quarterbacks. It was Matthew Stafford versus Lamar Jackson. Matthew Stafford finished with 294 yards, 3 touchdowns. Lamar had 316 yards, 3 touchdowns, along with 11 carries for 70 yards. Lamar did some special things in that game, in clutch moments too, when our D-line was fighting for their lives to get him on the ground. It was just like they couldn't do it. He's so mobile, and he's so smart. And the whole time he's escaping, his eyes are always down the field, and he's still making these throws accurately too downfield. Just really special to see from Lamar right now. Yeah. Talked about him plenty in the past and how we've thought he's just keeps taking these leaps as a passer and as a quarterback in this league. Mm-hmm. So it was tough for the Rams, but hey, they hung with Baltimore, and those elements in Baltimore, that's like as Ravens football as it can be. Like that atmosphere, that environment that the Rams were in, being an LA team, going into that place, and they hung with the Ravens the whole game. So I know there's no such thing as a moral victory, but for that team to do that, if you would have told me at the beginning of the season we would have went into Baltimore and gave them a game like that, I would have said you're crazy wrong. Mm-hmm. So awesome to see guys stepping up. Davis Allen stepped up for Higbee, our rookie tight end we took in the 5th round out of Clemson. Looks like a beast in there. Kyron Williams, dude. I haven't talked about Kyron Williams enough on this podcast. Another game where he goes for over 100 yards. He's giving that offense like a whole, like their offense is built off that run game now. And it's making them so much better in the passing game because they can do that in the run game now. Kyron Williams is a dog out there. He's a very good running back. Took him coming out of Notre Dame, and I did not have high expectations for him. Didn't see him much at college, and then he didn't play much at all his rookie year. He dealt with some injuries, and the shit that was going on with Cam Akers these last couple of years, I didn't understand, where it was like, well, Akers isn't getting the ball, and we start to feed this Williams kid. But now I know why. Now I know why Cam Akers is gone and Kyron Williams is the back, because he's a real difference maker out there. It's a completely different offense with him out there on the field. So we'll see what happens with the Rams. The NFC is going to be very interesting down the stretch with these 7-6, 6-7 teams. Yeah. And they beat us with a punt return. I should probably mention that. Beat us with a punt return in overtime.
Yeah, no, that was crazy because I said before the game, or last episode, I think it was Friday or Saturday when we recorded. Pay attention to the weather. If it ended up being a fair weather game, I liked LA to cover. If it ended up being a bad weather game, which played into the favor of Baltimore, I was on Baltimore, and that's what happened, right? We got shitty weather, so I rode with Baltimore, and as I'm watching it, I'm like, goddamn, Stafford and these boys can get it done. No matter turf, grass, dome, shitty weather.
Cleveland Browns beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 31-27. Already talked a little bit about Joe Flacco, how I think he's improved that offense. Trevor Lawrence threw the ball 50 times in this game, Tyler, 3 touchdowns, but he had 3 picks also. Just not a great day for Trevor Lawrence. I think one of those picks was on Ridley, but at the end of the day, it's on his stat line. They didn't try to run the ball at all with ETN in this game. He ended up with 14 carries for 35 yards. There were 4 turnovers in the first half. Pretty sloppy football. Shout out to Weedy. He was at the game with his dad.
Shout out Weedy in court.
Yeah, David Njoku, 2 touchdowns for Cleveland. Just went full beast mode on the Jags secondary.
Dude, Njoku, he does this. He has like this game. You're like, this guy's a stud. And then he disappears for 5 weeks. He's like, to me, I was talking to CJ about this. I'm like, here we go again. And Njoku has another game. And we're all going to be like, dude, this guy looks good. He's worth all that money because the Browns gave him all that money. And the dude hasn't even played like more than 8 games in a season the last 3 years. And they just fed him, gave him like a top 5 tight end contract. And I was like, kind of just, why did they do that? But then he has games like this, and you're like, that's why they did it. So hopefully he can stay healthy and build some rapport, chemistry with Flacco, and we can keep seeing this because it's going to be huge for Cleveland if they can get him and Amari, take some attention away from Amari and open kind of the middle of the field up for him is going to be big for that offense, especially off that run game.
This game could have got a lot uglier than what it was earlier. It was only 14-7 at half, but at that point, the Browns had 266 yards total offense. The Jags had 129. So they doubled them in yards in that first half, and it was still only a 7-point game because the Jags defense was keeping them in it. They had opportune turnovers too. Another thing I wrote down, Tower, is Evan Ingram had 11 catches for over 100 yards. Another great day for him. What?
Fucking, I had him in fantasy all fucking year, dude. This guy Evan Ingram didn't catch a touchdown all year. Didn't have 100. I don't even know if he had like an 80-yard game all year until last week. He had like close to a 100-yard game, and he had his first touchdown. And then just this past Sunday, he comes out, has 2 touchdowns. Either way, I digress. Sorry, keep going.
Detroit Lions, Chicago Bears. Bears pull it off at home, 28-13. Talked about them and their defense earlier, the impact of Montez Sweat. They were making life hell for Jared Goff. I said it last episode. I was riding with the Bears in this game because of how good that defense is playing, and then also the elements with Jared Goff. Just a completely different dude outside of a dome. We could see that the difference is, it's like the numbers are alarming.
Stifling.
From being a dome and outside, yeah. So this wasn't a good spot for him. Bears offense, I thought, was very crisp to start that game. They jumped out to a 10-0 lead, and Detroit scored 13 unanswered going into halftime, but that was it. They didn't score again the rest of the game.
I kind of got a little worried. I was like, oh, fuck. Here we go. We get out to a good start, and then the Lions come right back. I was like, shit, here we go.
No. Goff finished the day 20 for 35, 161 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Got sacked 4 times. Wasn't a good recipe for the Detroit Lions. I want to shout out Jaquan Brisker, who I've praised in the past on this podcast. One of those players on that defense, young players. Watched him at Penn State. He was a dog for them. I remember him just being all over the field every time he played Ohio State. Finished the game with 17 tackles. I want to remind everybody, Jaquan Brisker is a safety, and he has 17 tackles.
High school.
Shout out to him. Jalen Johnson, another interception for him. He's been balling all season. We're starting to get worried about Detroit, I think, because if they're not playing at home, they're going to be a different team because their quarterback's a different quarterback when they're not at home, when they're not in a dome. So
I was about to ask, is it time to hit the panic button for Detroit? I mean, they're definitely getting into the playoffs. It's just a matter of, like Pat just said, if they can't get a home game, or if they're not playing in a dome and they have to play outdoors, you can't trust Jared Goff. You just can't. Hopefully, though, this is a little rough stretch for Detroit, and then, right around week 16, 17, they get a good win, followed with another good win, and then they get rolling right into the playoffs, and then they beat Philly, beat San Francisco, and then lose to Dallas, and then Super Bowl. Here we come. Oh, we're going to the bowl.
I don't know what to see with this defense right now. Their defense is shit. They need Gardner Johnson back right now. They need Gardner Johnson, or they're fucked.
Soon, right?
And then they're not generating any pass rush. It's either Aiden Hutchinson or it's nothing. Earlier on in the season, we were seeing this D line really make some strides, getting pressure on the quarterback, and it wasn't just Hutchinson. Now, if teams double Hutchinson, they know they're good. Like, all we got to do is take care of this dude, and we don't have to worry about him. Justin Fields ate him up running the ball first time they played, and he did it again. They just couldn't contain Fields back there. I think Justin Fields is steadily improving as a quarterback in this league. I just don't think it's happening fast enough for them to not take advantage of that, using that first overall pick on a quarterback.
Yeah.
So I think both can be true. Justin Fields can be getting better, and they can still be moving off of him. I think both can be true. I think, once again, I think Atlanta is a good spot for him. Moving on, though, let's talk about NFC South matchup. New Orleans Saints 28, Carolina Panthers 6. I don't have really anything for this game, Tyler. I remember this is the game I passed. Last episode I said pass, and I'm doing the same thing right now. Derek Carr gets in a fight with his center in this game.
Dude.
The Saints just look like a mess. Like, I can't see the Saints. When you asked me that question earlier, I just can't see this team getting into the playoffs. Like, I would rather see the Bucks at this point. I'd rather see the Bucks, and I think I'd rather see the Falcons, even though
1,000%.
I think they should start Heineke. I think they should start Heineke over Ritter, but I would much rather watch that team than the Saints team right now. It's just a mess. It's not fun. I know they won the game 28-6, but Carolina's garbage, and is what it is at this point.
No, and that's when it comes to that the Saints Panthers game, like, I feel so bad for Bryce Young, dude. I really do. You just watch the whole entire offensive scheme they have going on. I mean, other than Miles Sanders breaking off, finally, he broke like a run of more than 20 yards this year. He broke off a big run, and I still don't even. I think they settled for 3. He got down to the 2-yard line. They settled for 3. Like, that's the definition of a bad offense. And he doesn't have any time to throw the ball. His receivers can't catch the motherfucking ball. He hit a guy on 4th down. The dude just slipped, tried catching the ball on his back and dropped it. And it's like, it still hit him in the hands. Exactly. Just bad news Bears in Carolina, dude. They need so much help. And it sucks because Bryce is going to get that tag of like, oh, he's a bust. CJ Stroud was the guy they should have taken. Like, yeah, maybe, as of right now, it definitely looks that way. But I think Bryce Young's going to take a lot of shit, and it's really not on him. Some accountability. Like, he can be better for sure, but he has no potential.
He's not working
him
much.
Himself. Yes, exactly. That offense has no potential. So
their offensive line, it's a shout out to him for still being in the game
alive
at this point in the season. Yeah, still being out there, being able to play out there with that offensive line.
I don't know who they're going to get head coach wise, but they need help bad. Hope maybe it could be the guy on your shirt. For some reason, that's like the most speculation I've heard about their head coach position is Billy Bell. But either way, I don't want to talk too much about the Panthers, but yeah, I just feel bad for Bryce. The Saints are almost at this point, almost dysfunctional. If it comes down to the Saints needing to make a kick, Groupie's not going to kick it or make it. He'll put the foot on the ball, but it won't go in between the yellow bars. Yeah.
Let's move on to another game I don't want to talk too much about, and that we took on the chin, and that was the Houston Texans, New York Jets. Jets win 30-6. Tyler, the score was 0-0 in this game at halftime. Jets open up the second half. Zach Wilson throws a touchdown to Randall Cobb. But that Texans offense in the first half, let me bring this up. 31 plays for 59 yards.
It doesn't make any fucking sense.
CJ Stroud, -10 passing yards at halftime. -10.
Come on. Come on.
We knew it was going to be tough. Tough defense to go against for a rookie quarterback. So we knew that Stroud was going to be dealing with that. But for it to look like that, never would have dreamed That was going to be what happened in that game. All of our 1 o'clock parlays were shot because of this game.
Yeah.
And then once the Texans went down 9, I bet them money line. And this game just fucked me, dude. This game put me in the worst mood. The absolute worst mood. Luckily, I went perfect 4 o'clock slate, but this game just ruined my mood for the 1 o'clock slate. Their offense does not look the same without Tank Dell right now. And then Nico gets hurt in that game too. I'm not going to overreact though, because it's the Jets, and CJ's been so good all year. Like, he's allowed to have one of these games. Like, it's okay. I'm not going to panic. They'll get it going in Houston. It's a shame that they lost to the Jets, because going into this week, it's like, damn, if we win and then the Browns beat the Jags, they weren't tied with the Jags for the division lead, but they couldn't take advantage of that. Now, the Jags couldn't take advantage of Houston's loss either, but go ahead.
Just the most frustrating game of the fucking week was that one right there. It just didn't, like, I don't want to take anything away from the Jets defense or Zach Wilson, but I mean, come on. You go into this one and you're like, yeah, if you told me the Jets were going to put up 30 in the second half with Zach Wilson, I would have told you to kick rocks. You know what I mean? Choke on something. So, I don't know. Like Pat said, it fucked a lot of parlays up for us. I didn't get it. Like, I know how good the Jets defense is. They're really good. They are a really good defense, but negative 10 pass yards. Like, they came out and played the best game of the year, and Houston came out and played their worst game of the year. That's just what happened. So
finished 10 for 25, 91 yards when he got hurt and had to leave the game.
Yeah, which, they came away with a couple, obviously, unfortunate big injuries. One probably caught a concussion. And then obviously, like Pat said, Nico got hurt. So not trending in a good direction health-wise for the Texans. But, yeah, that was a tough one to watch. 0-0 at half, and then the Jets put up 30 in the second half. Like, makes me...
Before we move on, I just want to mention Zach Wilson, 27 for 36, 2 touchdowns, no picks.
Yeah, do it again. Fucking do it again.
Moving on to another game that was pretty unwatchable, and that's the 4 o'clock slate. The Minnesota Vikings, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Raiders. Vikings win it 3-0. Very late field goal in this game. Josh Dobbs gets benched for Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins is now the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings going forward after a couple of really rough games from Dobbs.
Like that.
Just like that.
Oh, did you take the Vikings at -3?
I took a money line.
You took a money line. Yeah, I took him at -3, so it pushed. But, yeah, the whole time I was just like, this literally can't get any worse. The game could not have been worse. It was that bad. And then you bring in Mully. Hey, he went down and got him 3, though. So shout out to Nick Mullins. Way to avoid that bet, brother. Good luck moving forward. Next.
Seattle Seahawks lose to the San Francisco 49ers once again, 28-16. Couple things I want to talk about. Brock Purdy continues to look like a stud out there, making every throw. He can make every throw on the field, it seems like, at this point. Like, system quarterback, my ass. Game manager, my ass. Yeah. Watch the 49ers play football, okay? And before you start saying that shit, because he's making some throws out there. He's throwing guys open. Big throw he had to Debo where he just toasted Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams looks pretty bad trying to guard anybody now. Nowadays, he looks like he should just be playing. He looks like he should just beef up 15 pounds and move to linebacker. I think that's his best bet because he's awful.
It's a good
awful
call,
coverage safety. Really bad. But anyways, Brock Purdy finishes with 368 yards passing, Tyler, 2 touchdowns, 19 for 27. C-Mac at 145 yards rushing right off the bat. First carry broke that long one. And you felt like, oh, it's going to be a long day. But Seattle hung with them for a little bit.
They did.
Hung with them for so credit to them. I mean, going in that game with Drew Lock too, like Drew Lock had a really good throw to DK early in that game where they went down and matched early with a touchdown. DK had a great adjustment, and then Drew Lock threw a really nice ball in there. So credit to them for sticking in it. But Debo finishes with 150 yards. Ayuk has 126 yards. Kittle has 76 yards. And like I said, what McCaffrey did on the ground, Niners are tough. I feel really good about our 49ers-Ravens Super Bowl bet right now. This is probably the best I've felt all year. And the only regret I have is not putting it in week 1. So that's where I'm at on that. One other thing I want to talk about, DK Metcalf gets ejected. Dude, it's so easy for these guys to get in DK's head. Like, it's laughable at this point. How, like, not composed he is out there as a professional athlete. Like, I know why he has the binky. I know why he has the binky mouthpiece, because he's a fucking child. Like, how many times have we seen this dude lose his composure out there? We've seen him make his own quarterback look bad by, tossing up his hands or talking shit to his quarterback when he doesn't find him, he doesn't see him, or he makes a bad throw. We've said enough about DK Metcalf, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, Fred Warner literally, gave him a little shove from behind after. That's all it took. It was like a baby shove too, while he was like sort of trying to get up. It's like a big brother, like stay down type deal. But yeah, he needs to learn composure. But bet wise, that line was all over the place. I took one Niners minus 11. I took one Niners minus 13. That's the one that didn't hit. And then once it went up to like 14 and a half, I threw one in on the Seahawks at that point. So 2 out of 3 there. But I wanted to bring up Debo. Like, I know Debo gets some credit, but I don't know if the dude gets enough credit. Like, when Debo has the ball in his hands, dude, there's not many people like him in the league. Just at his size, his speed, the ability to just not go down, just how explosive he is with the ball in his hands. It's just, such a huge compliment to that offense. And I think you kind of saw that earlier in the year when him and Trent Williams both went out. And then that Niners offense really struggled for the, that 3-game stretch. Collection of things, obviously, not just Debo and Trent, but that's how big those guys are to that team. That's how important they are. That's how good they are. So shout out to Debo. The dude is a beast. He deserves more credit.
Denver Broncos defeat the Los Angeles Chargers 24-7. Game that we didn't understand last week why Denver was the underdogs, and we just hammered Denver. So we saw this coming from a mile away. Like I said, didn't make much sense. The line, Los Angeles was minus 2.5. Like you said last week, Chargers continue to find ways to lose games. They just do it every week, week in, week out. They barely escaped New England last week, but now Justin Herbert's out for the year. Their offense looked pretty bad with Herbert, so it's going to be interesting to see. Things could get real, real messy out there in LA for the Chargers.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you something. At what point, and I know we talk about how dysfunctional, that team can be, the culture there is shot. Staley has got to go. But at what point does Herbert start to shoulder some of these issues? Like, I think he's a great talent and he's a great quarterback, but like, at what point do we start to kind of be like, all right, Herbert, you got to figure this shit out, man. You and your coaches, of course, but like, Kellen Moore is no schmuck. He's a good coordinator. They should be doing. They're one of the most underperformed offenses in the league. I think it's safe to say. But I know he had a thing going with Keenan Allen for most of the year.
That's all I have at this point. Eckler looks
Right.
washed up.
Yeah, so it's just like, I don't know. And I don't want to put any blame on Herbert, but at the same time, it's like he's got to start shouldering some accountability at some point. Because we keep blaming everybody else on the Chargers but him. But that, not that the blame would be fair to put it all on him, but I don't know. I think he's when he comes back next year, he needs to be better, along with Kellen Moore, along with Eckler. Whoever the head coach is, they got to figure it out because they have way too much talent to be this bad.
Right. Let's move on to what seemed to be was going to be the game of the week. That is the Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs. Still ended up being a great game, right down to the wire. 20-17. Buffalo got out to a 17-7 lead in that third quarter, and I honestly thought they were just going to run away with it at that point because the Chiefs weren't getting it done against the Bills defense that had been struggling. So I kind of given the Chiefs the benefit of the doubt these last, I'd say, month and a half. I've just kept telling myself, like, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Andy Reid. They're going to figure it out. They're going to get better as an offense. Like, the receivers will get better. Well, the receivers continue to lose games they just suck. They're bad.
Yeah.
Like, they continue to make mistakes. They continue to drop the ball, not getting open. It's just Kelsey and Rice, and that's it. Like, Pacheco didn't play in this game, so could this game have been different if Pacheco was out there? Probably. Probably would have, because I think he's that like spark for that offense right now, because there's just not much going on in the passing game. I think Pacheco has to be in the lineup for the Chiefs to be a dominant offense. I think without him, you're not seeing much. Edwards-Helaire does not look like that guy anymore. He had that flash in the pan year when he was a rookie, but since then, we haven't seen much from him. He just doesn't look like the same guy that we saw his first year in at LSU. And then obviously, Josh Allen made some incredible plays in this game. Put the team on his back again. Early in that game, they got James Cook going. Had that touchdown pass to him. Looked really good. Finished off the day with 10 carries for 58 yards. And then he was also their leading receiver, 5 catches for 83 yards and that touchdown. So we've been preaching it all year. Like, get this guy involved, get James Cook involved in the run game, in the receiving game. Dude's a weapon, and he can really help out your offense. And we saw that. But I don't know what's going on with Diggs. He's kind of gotten locked up these last couple weeks coming off the field.
Worst game I've seen from Diggs.
I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure what's going on with him. But either way, Buffalo wins the game, pulls it off. I already talked about that call. It is what it is. He was offsides. Great play by Travis Kelce, like the awareness. We've seen him do it in the past where he's caught it, ran down, and then threw it backwards or pitched it. We've seen, like his creative ability in that sense. And he's got a fucking cannon. We saw that. He put it right on Tony. It was a great play, and it sucks. Really sucks that gets wiped out because of an offsides. And then also we don't get a chance for the Bills to come down in that moment and match them. It's a rough way for a game to end, but is what it is. Chiefs, now they're only 1 game ahead of Denver. This Chiefs defense is still really good. So I'm still confident, about the Chiefs potentially making a run because of that defense and because of Mahomes. But I feel like I said, if they don't get Pacheco involved, if Pacheco doesn't go off, I don't see this offense having I don't see their potential being up here anymore unless they get that production from Pacheco. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we say there's only so much that any one player can do. We're at that point with Mahomes now. There's only so much the best quarterback in the league can do. And this dude can put it in receivers' bread baskets, and they're still going to drop it. That's just been the year for them. And I don't know, maybe magically they have a couple guys step up down the stretch, but it's not looking promising for them at all on the offensive side of the ball. Especially like you said, if they don't have Pacheco involved. So, but that play, that offsides on Tony, wasn't that like first or second down?
Second. So
they still had 3 plays. We're talking a 5-yard penalty. They still had 3 plays to get yards. They didn't get the first down. It's not like it's not like they were marching and then had like a goal line stuff or whatever. Like they had 3 plays to get the 15 yards, give or take, whatever it was, and they didn't get a yard. They just had incomplete. And then you want to go and bitch about it. So that's my only take on really
that's Mahomes. The thing, dude. Mahomes was mentally defeated after that play.
Yeah.
I feel like he was just checked out. Like there was no chance of the Chiefs doing anything after that. It was just like, oh, okay, well now the game's over.
Right.
Like, he was so upset over that. Like couldn't keep his composure that it affected him the rest of the way.
Yeah, when he was walking to the sideline during a timeout, the commentators like read his lips and he said something along the lines of like, how do you call that? Or something like that. He was just bitching about the call on his way to the huddle instead of being focused like, okay, what do we need to do to get this motherfucking first down to win this game? He was too focused on the call. But I also wanted to touch on James Cook. You said the 10 carries and the 5 catches, so he had 15 total touches. But it's like, and that's fine. Like if you're going to give him the touches through the air, which is probably at this point his strong suit is his receiving ability. Aside from that, like I don't think 10 carries is enough for the kid. You look at that Jaguars game, and
Same.
they gave ETN 14 carries, and he was averaging just over 2 yards a carry. James Cook had 10 for 50 something, so he's averaging over 5 yards a carry. You're telling me you don't want to get him the ball, just give it to him a little more. So I don't know what the internal thought process is behind giving the ball to James Cook more than 10 to 15 times, but I don't know. I guess it's just something that we'll just have to never figure out.
We're just going to keep talking about it and hope it changes.
We're just going to keep talking about it, hope it changes, and it might not ever change. But the Chiefs are at a low, right? So for betting purposes, Chiefs are at a low, and the Bills are like up there. Like books are going to have them probably at their lowest unless they lose again this next week.
Super Bowl bet right now.
You could if you like. I'm telling you, they lost 3 out of their last 4. They're bitching about a call. People are out on the Chiefs right now. They're out on them. I'm not. Dude, when they were down 17-3, when they were down 14 points to the Bills, I didn't feel worried about my bet because I was like, Patrick Mahomes is just going to do Mahomes things and he's going to bring them back. And they did. They came back. They tied it up. They had a chance to go up because he's just that guy. Mahomes is that dude. But, we're going to get him at a low. So, hell of a game. It sucks that it came down to the call because you hate to see that. You hate to see a great game come down to a silly penalty, but that's literally what it was. A silly penalty.
By a silly player.
Fucking yeah. The joke was like, is Tony going to be in a Chiefs uniform next week? Dude, speaking of Tony in that.
They can't afford to get rid of him.
I know. I saw a post. They went back and they showed 4 or 5 different plays in the game where Tony was lined up offsides. So he was doing it all game, but they finally threw the flag on the last one. And it's not like, it's nothing against the refs. It's just terrible timing. Bad time to throw the flag. Yeah. It is.
Where's Mecole Hardman? Where's Mecole Hardman?
Dude, they traded to bring him back after letting him walk, and he's just nowhere to be found.
Let's move on to your Dallas Cowboys dominating Sunday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles, 33-13. Talked a ton about the Cowboys last week with questions with a fan, with Coach Truesdale, who's a blast. And they put it on Philly. I don't know if it's a product of, I know the Eagles are just going through it with their schedule right now and coming off that loss against the Niners. And now you got to play, you're going from one very physical team to another very physical team on the road in a place where now they've won 15 games in a row. I do think the defense is bad. Defense is not good right now, Tyler. And
No.
the offense is so inconsistent as well. Like
Sputter.
they get off of the run game so quickly. And it's a lot of hero ball out there with Jalen Hurts. A lot of hero ball. I don't like it. Shane Steichen is gaining more and more respect, I feel like, as the season's going on with what he's done in Indy and now what you're seeing in Philly without him being there. Because I feel like he was great for Jalen Hurts. And right now it's just a little loose in Philadelphia with the offense. And their defense can't stop anybody. So go ahead. Talk about your Cowboys.
I think the thing that really shot the Eagles in the foot, which is something that, shoots any team in the foot, is they fumbled the ball. They turned it over too much. And it was typically on solid plays. Like it was the Jalen Hurts fumble. It was a quarterback draw where he picked up like 8 to 10 yards and then it just got punched out at the end, while they were driving. Turnover leads to Dallas points. Another one to A.J. Brown. It was, I want to say, a solid catch, nothing crazy, but then Gilmore strips it out, turns into Cowboys points. Devontae Smith catches one, goes down the field on a pretty big play, gets stripped, they punch it out. No points for the Eagles there. I can't remember if that one led the points, but it was like all just like you got to hang on to the ball. And to another thing I've talked about a lot off air is the amount of punch outs that we've seen this year. I would love to see the statistic because I feel like this year more than any other year we've seen so many fumbles, and most of them are from defenders just fucking last minute, just trying to punch it out, and they do. They punch it right out. But aside from the Eagles clearly just needing to clean up and stop turning the ball over, their defense is not playing up to the standard that we know that they can. Maybe it's a little bit of what you mentioned. It's just that brutal stretch is finally coming to an end because their next 4 games, I think they have the Giants twice.
Yep.
The Cardinals and then another bad team.
Seahawks. They play Seahawks Monday night this week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Seahawks, they're not bad. The Seahawks, I think they can put up a fight. It's actually going to be interesting. I think the line on that was like 3.5. So kind of interesting. But as far as Dallas goes, huge bounce back game for my boy Deron Bland because he a couple weeks ago he had the record setting pick 6. He got picked on a little bit in that Seattle game. He gave up a few big plays, and then people were starting to talk about him. Same way they talked about Diggs the years prior, right? All the picks, but he gives up all these yards, blah, blah, blah. And then he came back, and I think some crazy good statistics. I think he allowed I think it was only a couple catches for a total of 8 yards that he allowed on the game against those Eagles receivers is very impressive. Gilmore stepped up and showed some fire. Gilmore is typically a guy that is, I don't want to say quiet, but he doesn't show. He got in AJ Brown's head. He got in AJ Brown's head. So, and that's the first time I've seen that from Gilmore as a Cowboy. So that was fun to watch.
Well, AJ called him old, so.
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah. Well, I don't know. These boys are just, they're coming out. They play. They really wanted that one though. After taking the L in the close game earlier in the year, they really wanted to come out and get that win. And we talked about it last week. It's a real home field advantage for Dallas now in AT&T Stadium. I think that's 15 or 16 in a row for them. So, and technically they're in the lead for the division. I hope they win out But it's not likely. They have a tough stretch. I know they got Buffalo and then Miami. Like I said, Eagles got an easy stretch. Cowboys got a tough stretch. They played one of their more complete games. How about Brandon Aubrey?
Oh, 30 for 30.
30 for 30. The dude comes in, first 2 kicks of the game, 60 yards, 59 yards. And I think that was the first time in NFL history that's happened. So can't give enough credit to that kid. And when the Cowboys sign him, nobody knows who this guy is. No expectations, and he comes out and does this. It's just a weapon. When you can, only get to the other team's 40 and then just feel comfortable and being like, Brandon, come on, and then just put like guaranteed 3 points. It's just a weapon. It's you can be more aggressive. You don't have to be so conservative. You can be more aggressive, and if you don't get that big play, it's like, all right, well, we'll settle for the 3. But I think it just allows their offense to be more aggressive, which is huge for those playmakers. And also, one more thing, love that catch by Michael Gallup, that dive and catch on the sideline. I think it was the 3rd or 4th quarter. Fucking sweet. I wish Michael Gallup could just be more involved. I don't know why.
I know
he just disappears at times. He makes some really, really tough catches. And
a lot of mouths to feed. Jake Ferguson.
Fergie. That's my boy. But yeah, good win, Dallas.
Dak Prescott continues to look great. He's playing great quarterback for the Cowboys.
Here we go.
Right, I do want to mention, though, if both teams end up winning out, the Eagles would still win the division. So the Eagles have the advantage right now. Maybe they trip up against Seattle this week, and the Cowboys win in Buffalo. So see what happens.
We need them to drop one of DeVito.
You think?
I don't think, but we need it. I hope.
Tommy?
We need Tommy. There's one time I'm going to root for you all year. It's going to be one of these next 2 games against the Eagles.
I mean, if he lights the way the Eagles secondary is looking right now, he might. Be honest.
Yeah.
I kind of want to just go over both these games at once. The 2 Monday night games: Packers, Giants, Titans, Dolphins. Last night, I was doing some things last night. I was kind of in and out watching these 2 games, so I don't have too much to say because honestly, I didn't see it being a good night of football.
No.
Watching these 2 teams, if you would have told me that the Giants and the Titans would have won, if I would have woke up today and just found it out, I would have been like, no, what? Because the Packers have been rolling. They go in, they play the Giants, who are the Giants, and DeVito leads them down at the end of the game. After Jordan Love had a nice touchdown drive, a really nice touchdown pass. You thought was going to win the game, and then the Giants go down, answer. Packers defense just gave it up too, just like that. Packers defense continues to not be able to stop the run. Like DeVito ran all over him. Barkley had a nice game, ended up with 2 touchdowns. Real shocker for me seeing the Packers lose that game when they had all those momentum rolling into that game. And we're talking playoffs. For them to trip up in that game was pretty crazy. And then Miami, I know it was pretty deflating when Tyreek gets hurt in that game. Ended up just being an ankle injury. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully he can get going because I need him in fantasy. But it just felt like a deflating moment for that team when Tyreek did get hurt. But at the same time, you never felt like the Dolphins were going to lose that game. And they did. They played with their food for too long. Titans hung around. Mayo God, Will Levis gets it done. D-Hop had a nice game. Had a nice little splash play in the end of the game to set them up. There were some sloppy turnovers, but Tennessee pulls it out in the end. Randy Bullock hits a game-winning field goal. And the Dolphins are now behind the Ravens for the 1 seed. So Chiefs lose, Jags lose. Chiefs can't take advantage and get up there with Baltimore. So now Baltimore is all by themselves for that 1 seed. Like I said, Super Bowl bet, Ravens 49ers, looking pretty juicy this week. But anything you want to touch on from these 2 games?
No, I was doing the same shit. I got home a little after they started, excuse me. And it was funny because both games when I flipped them on, both games had the one team, like they both had the ball inside the 10-yard line starting their drive. I was like, interesting. And then the Packers went down, scored, or tied it up. I think the Giants might have scored first. It was like 7-7. And then Miami went down and scored 7-0. I was like, all right, Miami's going to win this like 31-13. Next thing you know, they're up, what was it, 27-13 they were up, and then they blew it.
Yeah.
I think it was under 3 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, first time in like 40 years where a team was down 2 possessions with 3 minutes, or 2 touchdowns with 3 minutes left, came back and won.
Yeah, it's just that's wild. So, yeah, I don't know. Miami's going to come back from that one, to be honest. That's a demoralizing loss to a bad team. I don't want to say the Titans are a bad team. They're not a good team.
Spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler. So, yeah, that's just a bad loss for them. And it's fun, it's fun, a bad loss for the Packers too, right? They're making me look bad. I picked them to sneak into the playoffs, and then they come out and they lose to the Giants. It's like, come on. So it's funny because Matt was talking to me, and he was like, yeah, what are the odds both the Steelers and the Texans lose this week? I was like, well, the Steelers are playing the Patriots, who are arguably the worst team other than the Panthers in the league right now. I go, so that's about 30%. I say there's a 30% chance the Steelers lose, or one of those teams, Texans, because their Texans were playing the Jets. I'm like, 30% chance one of those teams lose, 10%, maybe even less than 10% that both of them lose, and they both fucking lost. Now, you group that in with the Dolphins and the Packers, dude, imagine if someone put a parlay together, Patriots, Jets, Giants, Titans. Dude.
I was even thinking about it yesterday because I didn't end up betting, but I was like, should I just put a little something on, Packers, or excuse me, Giants, Titans money line, because Titans were 13-point dogs. But I was just like, no, yeah. I'm done throwing away my money. You know what I mean? But should have done it.
Yeah, no, it worked out for you. That one Clippers, when the Clippers bet when they were playing the Warriors, they were down 20 points. You threw it in on them, and it worked out. Like, that shit happens. Yeah. It's just crazy. I would have loved to seen the odds on that parlay if they took money line those 4 teams. It was probably like $100 to win $10K.
Yeah,
like, would have been crazy. But I was doing the same thing as you, though. I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention to the games. I was just doing other shit around the house. So, yeah, I didn't watch much of them. I didn't expect much out of them. And I thought those bets that I had were safe. They were not. They were not safe. They were losers. So better luck next week, though, for sure.
For sure. Well, that is it for our Week 14 recap. We want to thank y'all for listening to the New Score podcast. This is episode 16, Tyler. We will be back later this week. We'll get into a Week 15 preview and some other segments for you. So once again, if you are on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Get at us on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you on later in the week. Goodbye.
Peace.
When I come to your city, I'm a new score. Broke your high score soon as I step through the door. Tryna stack my paper up like a bookstore. Money kissing each other like a rock and roll tour. When I come to your city, I'm a new score. Broke your high score soon as I step through the door. Tryna stack my paper up like a bookstore. Money kissing each other like a rock.